Something I wish I would have known before we started the process was how to choose a good, reputable agency for the country that I want to adopt from. And looking back now, there are certain agencies that work better with certain countries, and there are certain questions you need to ask yourself and the agency and make sure it's a good fit for both parties. And I think one way that I think would have helped is to reach out to more people that have used a particular agency and find out what their experiences were, good and bad, or what they would do differently if they would use the agency again.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions to ask, and a lot of it's personal too, because some agencies really hold your hand through the process, and also during travel, some of them, require that they book the hotels and the flights and everything, and some of them it's up to you, and that's a personal. I didn't want my agency to book any of that because I had like reward points to use and things. I mean, so there's a lot of questions to ask, and I think the best way really is to find people who've used the agencies and ask them, the pros and cons. And there's also price differences in agencies, and depending where you're adopting from too, if you're waiting to be matched, that can vary greatly between agencies. So like in China, some agencies have a lot of orphanage partnerships and they get a lot of files. Some only have a few, but also like a smaller agency might only have one orphanage partnership, but they also have fewer clients. So it really just, there's a lot of questions to be asked, and
and all agencies should be answering any question that you have. Yeah. All agencies should have somebody that can answer questions for you, and if you feel like they're answering them, even if you don't always love the answer, then maybe that's a great agency for you. Well, if you feel like they're not answering them, then maybe,
they should all also have a list of referrals of actual clients that you can talk to about their experiences, not just...
Some agencies don't love to do that because it's a confidentiality issue, and they just kind of want people to find that themselves and not have to be the intermediary. But people should, there's people out there that are willing to talk about.
Yeah, there's Facebook groups for everything under the sun. So if you searched for whatever country adoption, and then you could just ask people in that Facebook group, and they would give you honest feedback.
Yeah.
Anyone who is adopted, I think, is willing to say, yes, I use this agency. I would recommend them for these reasons, or I wouldn't do it again, or if I were to do it again, I wouldn't use the agency. Anybody, I think, is willing to give those opinions. You just have to ask and find the groups.
I think one thing to be careful of is, I think a lot of families will try to find the agency that's going to make things happen the fastest. And I'd be a little bit leery about why they are able to be so much faster than another agency. Oftentimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cheryl, but oftentimes it's because they may be doing something that they should not be doing, and eventually that's going to hit the fan. And so you got to kind of be careful about that. Or if they charge so much more, but everything happens a little bit faster, it's probably because they're taking that money and and not that there's a lot of really dirty agencies out there, and they probably feel like they're doing the right thing. We want to get these children to the right place and the right time, But if it's too good to be true, maybe it's you got to be careful of that, And you may not even get caught up in it, but there's just some risk there,